The art of total football is the game in its purest form. The ability for each player to switch into a position the game demands has seen some of the most successful teams ever to play the game. There have been many disciples of this interpretation of the game, but it is widely agreed that the master of it is Dutchman Rinus Michels. He announced Dutch football to the world with Ajax and the Netherlands, and won a huge amount of trophies in his career, being one of the most successful and influential coaches of all time. This is a story of Rinus Michels, the master of total football. Rinus Michels was born in Amsterdam on the 9th of February 1928. He would receive a pair of football boots for his 9th birthday, and afterwards never looked back. A family friend introduced him to Ajax's academy, and he would make his senior debut and found a perfect way to start, netting 5 times in an 8-3 victory over ADO Den Haag. He would spend his whole career at the club over a period of 12 years, playing 264 games and scoring 122 times. His career overlapped with the dawn of professionalism in Dutch football, and he was heavily influenced by his English manager Jack Reynolds, who preached the philosophies of developing young talents, passing play, fitness, and positional fluidity, all things Michels would take into his managerial career. He would win 2 league titles as a player, and would soon enter a trophy-laden managerial career, after having to retire due to a back injury. Michels spent time doing his military service, as well as working as a teacher, before returning to Ajax as manager in 1965. The club had fallen and were relegation candidates. This, however, was all about to change. Michels quickly instilled his methods to improve Ajax's fortunes. The players pushed their limits in training, at points doing 5 sessions a day. He made sure to perfect the offside trap and ensured his outfield players were comfortable filling any position on the pitch. He was known as a disciplinarian, with Johan Cruyff saying Michels would often drive around the streets of Amsterdam at night to ensure his players were staying home. He managed to combine this with a humorous nature, being known as a joker, on one occasion borrowing a woman's fur coat and turning up to a team meeting in drag. Michels focused on high pressing, blocking passing lanes, and aiming to make the pitch as big as possible when his side had the ball and as small as possible when the opponents had it. Whilst focused on discipline, he also wanted his players to roam freely around the pitch to generate space, which is why the fluidity of total football was key. He would build his team around the likes of Johan Cruyff, Johan Neeskens and Piet Keizer, and would soon get results. Ajax won the Eredivisie in 1965, with Johan Cruyff netting 25 times in 23 games in all competitions. Cruyff would be Michels' orchestrator on the pitch, often playing as a false 9, transitioning seamlessly between attacking positions and creating chances time and time again. Michels once said that without Cruyff, he had no team. Ajax retained the league the next season, and also added the KNVB Cup to make it a double, and they would also announce themselves on the European stage. Ajax faced Bill Shankly's Liverpool in the second round of the European Cup in late 1966. Liverpool were heavy favourites to win, with Ajax at this point having little reputation outside their homeland. Shankly had scouted Ajax on a trip to the Netherlands and was confident of victory, but he would soon be humiliated. The match was played at the Olympic Stadium in Amsterdam, away from Ajax's home of the Der Stadion due to high demand for tickets. Amongst heavy fog, Ajax tore the Reds to pieces, scoring in the 3rd minute, and Cruyff would later net to make it 2-0. Ajax added 2 more before half-time. Ajax had net 1 more, and Liverpool got 1 back, but the Dutch side emerged as 5-1 winners. It remains Liverpool's record defeat in European competition. Michels saw it as a statement of intent that Ajax were fit to match the top European sides, and it was a game that had indeed put Dutch football on the map. Whilst Ajax exited at the quarter-finals, their European crown would soon come. They won the 3rd successive league title in 1968 and reached their first European Cup final the next year. Unfortunately, it was a bridge too far, with AC Milan defeating them 4-1. However, they would come back stronger. Ajax won another league and cup double in 1970, retaining the KNVB Cup the next year, and would be back in the European Cup final. Ajax defeated the likes of Atletico Madrid and Celtic to reach the final at Wembley, where Michels would be up against a Panathinaikos side managed by the legendary Ferenc Puskás. In the 5th minute, forwards Dick van Dijk, no, not that one, gave Ajax the lead with a header, and a deflected shot from Arid Haan 3 minutes from time sealed it once and for all. Rinus Michels had won Ajax their first European Cup. 6 years before, they had been battling relegation, but now, thanks to a footballing genius, they were on their way to becoming one of the greatest trophy collectors in the footballing world. They were welcomed back to Amsterdam as heroes, but this chapter with Michels was about to come to an end. He left Ajax in 1971 to take over Barcelona. Michels was replaced by Romanian Stefan Kovacs, who cemented Michels' legacy by guiding Ajax to 2 more European Cups to make it a three-peat. Rinus Michels was joined in Catalonia by Johan Cruyff in 1973, and the two of them won La Liga in 1974, with Michels also having won the Intercities Fairs Cup in 1971. They had worked wonders together, but would now link up on the international stage to set the world alight. The Netherlands qualified for the 1974 World Cup with a poor record at previous editions. They had only previously qualified for the 1934 and 1938 World Cups, during which it was a straight knockout, and in both games they played, they had lost. This was all about to change. Rinus Michels was appointed Netherlands manager in preparation for the tournament, them having only just qualified after a draw with Belgium. He built their squad out of a core of Feyenoord and Ajax players. A wise decision, as Feyenoord had won the European Cup in 1970, and the next 3 were won by Ajax. Michels did not have long to prepare, and the Netherlands would be drawn in a group with Bulgaria, Sweden, and Uruguay. They would win a World Cup game for the first time with a 2-0 victory over Uruguay, and whilst they drew with Sweden, a 4-0 victory over Bulgaria advanced them to the second group stage. It was here they would truly make statements. The Netherlands thrashed Argentina 4-0, with 2 goals from Cruyff, 1 from Ruud Krol, and 1 from Johnny Rep. This was followed by a 2-0 win over East Germany, and then incredibly, a 2-0 victory over world champions Brazil. These victories saw them top the group, and as a result, they were in the final. The Netherlands had wowed supporters with their intense pressing, beautiful passing, and fluid positioning. Johan Cruyff was a star, and the Netherlands had truly announced themselves to the world. Many were starting to think it would be the Dutch who would win the cup. The Netherlands have faced European champions West Germany in the final, who had the likes of Franz Beckenbauer, Gerd Müller, Paul Breitner, and many others in their side. Tensions had remained high between the Dutch and Germans following the Second World War, with Netherlands midfielder Willem van Hanegem desperate to beat them as revenge for the 2 brothers, sister and a father he had lost during the war. The build-up to the final was marred by controversy though, as the squad had partaken in a drunken pools party alongside Dutch rock band The Cats, with young girls being paid by the German media to attend the party so the Dutch players could be caught in the act. The aftermath saw Dutch players queuing up to use the hotel phones to receive an earful from their spouses, and Rinus Michels slammed the media for inflicting what he called psychological warfare. The Dutch were shaken going into the final, but were still confident of victory, and only moments in the game, it seemed as though the world was theirs. Johan Cruyff went in an incredible run into West Germany box and was brought down by Uli Hoeneß. The referee signalled for a Dutch penalty. Johan Neeskens blasted the ball in from the spot to give the Netherlands the lead before West Germany had even touched the ball. However, as the game went on, the Dutch became divided. Half the team stuck to the game plan, whilst the others were keen to humiliate their rivals. Johan Cruyff was effectively man-marked by Verti votes, limiting his creativity. In the 25th minute, West Germany won a penalty, and Paul Breitner would level from the spot. In the 43rd minute, Gerd Müller netted to put Germany ahead at half-time. Both sides had chances, but West Germany held on to win their second World Cup. Michels' side had amazed the world throughout the tournament, but ultimately left Munich empty-handed. The Netherlands side was still welcomed back as heroes, and the 74 team remains one of the most influential sides in football history, with Arrigo Sacchi, Jurgen Klopp, and Pep Guardiola all being disciples of this great team. Rinus Michels did not stay on as Netherlands manager, instead returning to Barcelona, where he won the Copa del Rey in 1978. He also spent time in charge of Los Angeles Aztecs and FC Cologne, winning the DFB Pokal with the latter in 1983. He would at the end of the decade, though, have the chance to redeem himself on the international stage. After suffering in football wilderness for a few years, the Netherlands had re-emerged on the international stage with a new generation of talents, the likes of Ronald Koeman, Frank Rijkaard, Ruud Gullit and Marco van Basten. Hopes were high they could end their trophy curse. They started poorly with a defeat to the USSR. Van Basten hit a hat-trick in the next game to seal a 3-1 win over England. This was followed by a 1-0 win over Ireland that sent them to the semi-finals. There they would face a date with destiny. The Netherlands faced West Germany in Hamburg, 14 years on from the World Cup final, it was the perfect opportunity for revenge. Michels deployed a more physical game plan as the Dutch looked to outwit their neighbours, but they were thwarted when they gave away a penalty that Lothar Matthäus converted. However, Koeman would convert from the spot himself in the 74th minute, and only 2 minutes from time, Marco van Basten slid in a winner to send the Dutch to the final. They had inflicted revenge on their rivals at long last, and it led to nationwide joy. But Michels knew that the job wasn't done yet. He told his players he had hoped they enjoyed themselves, but asked them for once to ensure that the Dutch could win a final. The Netherlands faced a rematch with the USSR, led by the legendary Valery Lobanovsky, a fellow student of the total football philosophy. This time, though, it would be the day of the Dutch. A header from Ruud Gullit gave the Netherlands the lead in the first half, and the trophy would be sealed with an iconic moment. Arnold Muren played a ball high to Marco van Basten in the Soviet box. Van Basten, at a tight angle, hit it on the volley, and it looped into the net to make it 2-0. Rinus Michels held his head in amazement, having witnessed one of the all-time great goals. It was the perfect strike to seal the tournament. Full time came, and finally, the Dutch had silverware. Having influenced so many, they finally had a trophy of their own, and it was fitting that Michels could return to help them lift it. They may not have been able to conquer the world, but they had conquered Europe to redeem themselves. It would be the last great moment of Michels' incredible managerial career. He had a brief spell of Bayer Leverkusen and took charge of the Netherlands one last time, where they lost to Denmark on penalties in the European Championship semi-finals. This brought to an end one of the greatest managerial careers of all time, with an honours list of 4 Eredivisie titles, 3 KNVB Cups, a European Cup, a La Liga, a Copa del Rey, an Intercities Fairs Cup, a DFB Pokal, and a European Championship. Whilst few can boast such a list of honours, even fewer can boast such influence on the game as Rinus Michels. Rinus Michels died on the 3rd of March 2005 at the age of 77, following complications from heart surgery. Sadly, his name often gets overlooked in the debate for the game's greatest ever manager, which is a huge disservice. Trophies followed him wherever he went, and he brought Dutch football from obscurity to an elite level. He turned Ajax into the dominant force they are today, and despite not winning the World Cup in 1974 with the Netherlands, the legacy and influence of that side is immortal. With Johan Cruyff, he had the perfect manager-player partnership that delivered truckloads of trophies, and he mentored Cruyff to become a great manager, who in turn did the same for Pep Guardiola. Rinus Michels played the game beautifully, with his divine intellect taking football to a new level, and he helped the game evolve hugely with his methods. He is no doubt up there with the greatest ever managers, not just in success, but influence too. Rinus Michels was nothing short of a football genius, and he deserves to be celebrated throughout the footballing world for his incredible service to the beautiful game. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video on the AFC Finners channel. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please have a look at the channel down below and check out the hundreds of videos available. If you'd like to support the channel on Patreon, you can do so in the link below for as little as £1 a month. Please let me know what you thought of this video and what topic you'd like me to cover next. See you next time.